Hello, you guys. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being in here with me today. Thank you for allowing me this space in your attention, in your time. Today, I am continuing what I was explaining about moon phases and how they affect our daily lives. And this is super important because the fact that the moon has a fast pace compared to the other planets, and because it passes through a lot of signs in a short amount of time, the amount of energetical influences that we get from it is not just a bit, it's a lot over the month. I know that some people cannot feel these things closely. Most often, women can feel it most of all because of our feminine cycles, right? And I know that some people have been educated to follow a lunar calendar, so that will also be more comfortable for those people. But there are so many changes, and through all those phases, we go through so many processes. And there is not just the moon in the sky with its sign, but its influence on your personal natal chart moon, as I said before. And because there is a lot to go through, even more important for myself at this moment, because I'm going through such a big life transition and I am already mixing with energies from different signs in my natal chart. So there's a lot going on and a lot to come, a lot of news I expect in a short amount of time. And because of that, because we're going through so many things going on in our lives, let's take a moment here to just breathe and soften our minds, soften our perception. Let's go easy on us today because it's Wednesday, but it's looking like the world is about to fall apart. And we have to remain our most calm and sober level of mind frequency, because when we're going through delicate periods, our calmness and our sobriety keeps us more alert and prompt to any action that we may need to take in a rush, rush movement. Okay, so I had already spoken about, let me see the phases again. Not in here, not in here, in here. Yes. Okay. In the last live, have already spoken about new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, and now we should talk about full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent. Okay, so let's go through all of this. Because the technical material is so huge, I actually made for myself some presentation with a lot of information that I don't want to forget. So I'm going to authorize myself to read it because I know that this is a lot of information. And where is my foot? Okay, thank you. And because of that, I will be sharing with you guys my screen, and I will be appearing on a little corner on the bottom of the screen. And I'll be sharing with you the content, which I will also authorize myself to read it and do some comments upon it, and show you the picture, the image of the moon of which we're talking about while we talk about it, okay? Now we were leaving the wax gibbous moon to full moon. Okay, let me share with you guys my screen. Where am I? Here I am. Oh, I wish I had something to clip my hair. Oh, there it is. Just a bit, because Okay. Now I got this. So much more comfortable. I like it. Like this. Okay. Very funky. Okay. So let's share this. I think I'm gonna share the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. So here it is. Well, the full moon, first of all, let's talk about the most obvious aspects, right? The full moon is when the full light is appearing on the dark sky. That, in long time ago, practical terms, meaning the time when we didn't have energetical electricity lights on in the streets, that was the most cleared moment in the night. So that's equal to say that it's a period in which the intuition is super expressive and your intuition is capturing everything, because this is a moment in which you get to see in the dark, equals to say your mediumship enhances, and your connectivity with the other dimensions, it gets like thinner. And because of that, the full moon is a period in which sometimes we're radically, is that what's it called? Let me just check this word. Trans. Yeah, okay. And oops, where was I again? I was in here. Yeah, and we're just like super intuitive, and our third eye is completely open. We're getting to see everything. The veil between the our dimension and the spiritual dimension is super thin, so a lot of people get to look better during this period. And because it's so expressive in all of its emotions, considering that in astrology moons represent the emotions, we're just about everywhere, we're just spread everywhere. That is equal to say that sometimes in these moments we do not come to our best behavior, we do not work at our best version, because we're sometimes not getting to hold inwards the amount of emotions that we have been trying to hold up to in order to, like not spread on anyone else. But at a certain point, when we get like a way too heavy, it will come out. Your expression will find a way to come out. And if you don't talk about it, it will come out in another weirder way. So at this point, it's super normal that maybe sometimes we slash it out on other people, and yes, we don't do it our best behavior. And this is a moment in which we have to be compassionate to ourselves, because everyone has a limited level of strength, emotional strength. And when we're talking about physical strength, it's so kind of easy to control, because if you're physically weak, you're just going to do some effort, and then you will know that your body is no longer holding it. And it's visible because you can feel it with your bodies. But when we're talking about our emotional side, we're talking about something that, how can you measure the size of an effort, of an emotional effort? How can you measure the depth of how someone tried to make a change in their own lives? So, because some things are more abstract rather than objective, it's kind of harder to measure. And in this case, you don't know how much emotional weight you're carrying on your psychological shoulders. And because of that, it is normal that sometimes we do not express in our best versions. So the moon brings that. The moon sometimes brings this overexpressed emotion, and because you were holding it for too long, it will give for you little drops of hints of the things you were holding back for way too long that got accumulated throughout your whole speech and throughout your your pain, your own pain. Okay, so the full moon occurs when the sun and the moon are aligned on the opposite sides of the earth. The sun shines directly onto the half of the earth and reflects onto the moon. This phase can be intense for the mind and the body, directly opposite one another. In solar system, the sun and the moon are in opposite zodiac signs during a full moon. This means we are left trying to balance two extremes, which can cause emotions to run high. Exactly because of this, that we have to be self-comprehensive. Like a werewolf howling at a full moon, you might find yourself having intense outbursts or moments of extreme passion. Your body might feel overwhelmingly tired or bursting with energy depending on what emotion is taking hold. But this is also a time of great abundance. Open yourself up to harvesting your intentions. You might be surprised by what comes to your way. Yeah, okay. So, about that whole thing that we were talking in the previous processes in which you had uh, the inward going of the new moon, the project starting of the, oh my god, what is the name of the one, waxing crescent moon, yes, and all the projects that you were trying to elaborate with yourself and grow through all the previous phases. In this point, in the full moon, you get to have a clearer idea because you're getting to see things with more perception, with more like spiritual perception, you know. So even though this is an emotional time, you may also consider in trying to trespass, not trespass, because it's not about trespassing, it's more about going with the curve, you know, and overcoming the curve and going to the rest of the path in which you overcome that emotion and then you just go towards the direction of your objectives, okay? um, then we have the waning gibbous moon, when the visible part of the moon starts decreasing. So we have passed the full moon, we have passed that whole big thing that everybody tells you when you want your hair to grow, you should cut it in the waxing crescent moon or in the full moon. Now, in this moment, we will stop cutting our hairs if we want them to be long. We're just gonna cut our hairs if we want them to be like uptight to our heads and very, very straight. So, the third quarter moon. The third quarter occurs as the moon gets closer to completing its orbit. Here, the opposite side of the moon is illuminated compared to what you saw in the first quarter. Like the moon gradually losing light, this is a time to release and let go of anything burdening you. Be forgiving of yourself and things if things didn't go your way this month. Remember that the time for renewal will come around again soon. You might also take this time to forgive others or where you can't distance yourself from them. Clean out your apartment, clean your work desk, and remove anything or anyone from your lives who isn't serving you. Cleanse yourself of all toxicity, toxic thoughts, influences, and people. Yes, okay. So you want things to go on, right? You want your projects to take a flow. So, yes, let's do this. Let's consider in taking off of our way our attention stolers, the subjects that are small attention stolers, because you're gonna divert your attention from your objectives into those small distractions. And some things, they will not even enhance anything better for your life. Because, for example, okay, if you want to play a game on a cell phone, just go ahead. At least you're venting your mind, at least you're going soft on yourself, you're having like a pleasant moment individually. That's not a bad thing, but I mean, sometimes we just lose ourselves in discussions trying to compete with others' perspectives into politics, religions, and all of that. And none of that will bring us to anywhere else new, because that's not so likely that anyone else will change their minds just because we told them to. So let's remember to not waste our energies on discussions that will lead us nowhere different than we are right now. They will not make anything better in your life. So, in this moment, you also want to clear yourself because you need to get all the heavy load out of you. And that's when the theme of forgiveness comes around, because forgiveness is not about making a benefit to the other. It's just about not carrying heavy emotional load on yourself. And because we want you to flow freely, and because we want you to flow smoothly, we really want you to let all that heavy weight go. Oh, but Danny, I don't know what forgiveness means, because that means I'm gonna have to be friends with that person. No, not really, you know. A few weeks ago, I had a chance to spoke with one of my relatives, and he's highly spiritualized. And we were talking about forgiveness, and he was like, and I was like, but what forgiveness means? Because I mean, I don't want to carry the heavy weight, but I also don't want to be friend with the person who harmed me in the past. And he was like, I'm gonna give you an example. Once, one of my neighbors did something bad to me, and I was like super pissed. And because he did what he did, I went to his house, and I told him he should ask me for forgiveness because he was telling wrong things about me. And he didn't do anything. He didn't come to apologize of so many bad lifeful things that he told about me and my family. And I got super bad about this subject for about a year or two. And something in me started calling, hey, you're living with a heavy weight on your mind about the anger you have against your neighbor. And he was like, but I don't know how to forgive, because every time I think about this subject, I still feel anger. And he was guided in the direction of, it's not about not feeling how sad you felt in the day you felt. It's more about when your neighbor passed by, you just say hello, because that means nothing. And at each time you are cross with him and you try to be a little lighter, each time it will become a little bit lighter. And you're not doing this to benefit your neighbor in this case, right? You're doing this to benefit yourself from carrying out that heavy weight and that heavy load of anger within you. And then once the neighbor went by his house, and he didn't like to say good mornings or good evenings and any of that. But then once the neighbor passed by his house, because he was remodeling the house, and the neighbor wanted to put on a comment. And he said something like, oh, congratulations, I see you're building a new floor on your house and all of that. And he felt like he wanted to slash it out on the man back because of the so many bad things he had told in the past about his family. But then he was just like, okay, let me show you how this is. Be welcome. And in that moment, he asked it to his guide, why didn't I express myself for so many injury, emotional injury that that man caused to me? And his guider answered, it's because that's the path to forgiveness. You don't need to put more bad energy between what has happened. You go to the path of solving the problem, not extending the bad energy between it. You just cut the bad energy and you go in a totally different direction. And this is the moment that we have to look at this story to tell ourselves how many times we have forgiven without even realizing, because we have already done something like that in the past, right? But my idea is, if you have something like having now, and if it has been like recent and you have been struggling to get it out of you, just authorize it. Even if you don't agree with it, go in a part of you and you say to yourself, even though I don't agree with it in my rationality, I authorize spiritually to authorize forgiveness for those who hurt me and who hasn't asked me for forgiveness. You don't have to ask yourself of what's going to happen next, but what will actually happen to you is that unexplainably you will just start getting comprehensive and softer, and all of that will come to you like naturally, and things will feel better. So what I can tell for you from the beginning is that if you authorize forgiveness, even if you have hatred on you yet, it will only do you good. You will yourself see the effects of allowing that forgiveness, and you will understand that this is not about making a benefit to the other, benefiting the other. That's what I wanted to say. um but you will see that your perception will be lighter, and the crazy thoughts of fights in your mind and your ideas and thoughts, they will diminish, because you're stopping to put an energy into the exercise of bad vibes fueled, if you know what I mean. Okay. So, oh, let me see how much time we got yet, because I don't want to trespass again. Okay. Mm. Now let's go to the waning crescent moon. Here, the illuminated part of the moon gradually wanes to be a crescent. Okay. This phase allows the moon to sink back into full darkness, so it can re enter the new moon phase. Whatever it is on your plate, let it go. This phase is like a giant exhale, a chance to release and surrender your worries, fears, and concerns. You may find your body feeling empty during this time, particularly if you've had a lot of loss during the month. But embrace this vacancy. It means there is more room to fill with positivity and abundance in the next month. Surrender yourself to the change and allow yourself to sink into a relaxed state of the next moon cycle. Yes, can I talk to you guys about stoicism? Because it's like this whole process, and I mean that because I'm so stubborn. I am from Scorpio and we are a fixed sign. That means that we are super tuned, but obsessively tuned into our ideas. And it's not that I don't change opinion, because if you present a logical argument for my perception, I would totally consider what you're saying. But my perceptions, I have a hard time changing them. It takes a lot of time for me because I'm really stubborn, and I know this. Okay. And because of that, I know for how long I held so many heavy loads from the past, from such a long time ago, and how those things dragged me for a really long time, and how they felt me feeling and believing that I was less than I was. And I know that there is a point of us that just likes to keep in the exercise of controlling things, because we like to do, we like to deliver, we like to feel useful, participating, belonging. and all of that. We find ourselves in a whole amount of commitments. Even pleasant time became a commitment. And with that being said, I want you to understand that you're just a person. You're just a human, and you need normal quality time like everyone else. So authorize yourself sometimes a relaxing moment. Oh, but the world is firing out there, and I have a sister fighting with an uncle, and they said this and that. Okay, but sit on your chair, sit on your couch, just breathe, feel the moment, relax, authorize yourself to not considering helping others for just a little bit of your day because you have already passed your whole day long doing things for other people, probably. Okay, so I want you to consider that in the waning crescent moon, right before the new moon, you should authorize yourself that resting moment to see with yourself how much you delve deep into so many subjects to evolve yourself to a better version that you are looking for yourself. So this is a moment in which I want you to remember in the next phase you will be back to get into yourself. So if you're going back inwards to that hibernating moment, why not taking on with you good things, right? So remember to thank yourself, remember to apologize with yourself, remember to let go of heavy things. Remember to let others people's problems be other people's problems because they found a problem, they should solve it. And if not only for that, if someone created a problem and you go there and you participate of the situation, sometimes by even trying to help, you are actually pulling the karma to you because that person had the job and the opportunity to learn how to solve that problem, and you jumped in the middle of her learning process or his learning process, interrupted it and made it your own way. So this can backfire. So sometimes the best help is to not help, believe me. So in this moment, I want you to go really light on you because the waning crescent moon have already made it's the last final process of everything that has already gone through. So in of everything that you reflected upon, the ideas you tried to bring on, the inventions you had formed on your mind, and all of that process, and changing the rhythm and changing the route and all of that. So, yes, just life in its own normal daily behavioral aspects is already heavy enough. As in needing to wake up sometimes 6, 7 a.m., going early to work, going back late at night to home to see your kids, and all of that can already be so hard that sometimes you need to understand yes, the world has this heaviness of commitment and in based on the idea that people only feel like we have a value if we serve society in somehow. But let me tell you this, you are valuable just because you're alive, just because you have feelings and perceptions and ideas and you are breathing and you have a heart. And the energy that you bring to the world is already a contribution, whatever it is that you will do, okay? So just authorize yourself to be you, okay? If you are in here with me today for a little bit or the whole way, thank you so much for you guys who is going to who are going to watch it. It's in some other day, some other year, or wherever, whenever. Thanks to you too. Thank you so much, spirituality, for this whole space and time for healing concepts that can open our minds and our hearts to new perceptions so we can bring by ourselves new ideas and ways of facing things throughout our daily lives in the world. Thank you for the support and the inspiration throughout the whole way. Thank you so much, Love and Moon Boutique, for this space and time. I do believe that this is a space of healing. I love this space. I hope that we get to find the strength to be super out there. If you have been liking the contents, remember to give us your likes, subscribe yourself to the channel. and share the content with your friends. Also, press the bell so you can receive the notification for the next lives, okay? And I hope we see each other soon here again with a lot more ideas to grow and reflect upon, okay? Thank you so much. Kisses in your heart. I hope you have a lovely week and day ahead of you. Bye bye.